this morning, feeling kinda blue. A little sad, but I know just what to do. Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh. I have learned that I can go to Jesus. He lifts me up whenever I need it. Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh. When I'm worried, when I'm feeling down, that's when God comes through, turns it all around. Yeah, He gives me joy in every situation, keeps my spirits high, no matter what I'm facing. Oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa. I'm feeling better, God made all the difference. He's always here to listen. Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh. He is my source, the one who gives me life. He is my God and He's good all the time. Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh. When I'm worried, when I'm feeling down, that's when God comes through, turns it all around. Yeah, He gives me joy in every situation, keeps my spirits high, no matter what I'm facing. Oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa. When I'm worried, when I'm feeling down, that's when God comes through and turns it all around. Yeah, He gives me joy in every situation, keeps my spirits high, no matter what I'm facing.
Happy Sunday morning! I hope and have been praying that you are growing closer to Jesus every day. This morning's lesson is about God's kindness. What does the word kindness make you feel? As you're thinking about God's kindness and how it makes you feel, let me ask you, do you think paper clips sink or float in water? Let's experiment and find out. All right, let's see what happens when I drop paperclip in the water. Now, let's try another one. Maybe it'll float. Let's try it. Nope. All right, do you think that by the end of this lesson, I can get a paperclip to float? And what does a paperclip floating in water have to do with God's kindness? Let's find out. In 2 Samuel 9, it says, God is kind, so we should be kind. You may hear your parents say to you often, be nice. Nice and kind, though, are two different things. Nice is the bare minimum of not being mean. Kind is going out of your way to treat another person well. Let's see the difference between nice and kind. Now, imagine that these paper wads are really heavy and it hurts if you're hit by one. That would be mean of me to throw them at you. The nice thing to do would be to not throw them at all. What would be the kind thing to do? Let's think of ways we can make this more kind. Some kind things would be action. Now, we could write nice things on these papers about you and then not throw them at you. I could pick up all the papers and throw them out. Remember, kindness is an action, like love is action. Saying you love someone but not showing that love can be pretty empty. How would you describe the difference between nice and kind? When people tell you to be nice, it usually means don't be mean. If your mom knows you're about to insult your brother, she might say, be nice, as a warning not to insult your brother. But kindness is different. Kindness is going out of your way to help or serve someone. It is what David shows Mephibosheth in today's Bible story. Since being kind means taking positive action, let's consider ways we can show kindness to people in our lives. Now, to assist us with this week's Bible story, I have Play-Doh here. If you have some Play-Doh at home and your mom and dad are okay with you using it in the house, do this along with me. Today, we're learning about God's kindness from a man named David. God showed his kindness to David in lots of ways. First, David was a shepherd. We have cute little sheep. When David was a shepherd, God showed kindness by giving David's sheep peaceful places to graze and safety from wolves and other predators. David also wrote a lot of songs which make up the Bible book of Psalms. He wrote this one in one of his songs. You open your hand, you satisfy the desires of every living thing. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and kind in all his works. I like this one. God is kind in all his works because God is perfect and he cannot be mean. And how exciting to think of God's kindness to us as an action. The creator of the universe being kind to us in an action and not just words. So I'm going to make a handprint in my Play-Doh now. And this is to show David's success in battles. God showed him kindness by giving him success in those battles. The first time David was a young boy fighting against a giant. All he had was a rock and a slingshot, and he killed the giant. We'll make a rock now. David had to run away from King Saul for a long time, but God is kind, and he always kept David safe. Do you remember that one place he kept David really safe? When David could have killed Saul? What do you think that is? A cave. Now God showed kindness to David by blessing him and making him a king. Now I'm going to try and make a crown out of this one. Let's see if I can do that. All right, there's my crown. Now I'm going to flatten the dough again, after all that work. And I'm going to press my fingerprint in it. Here we go. God is kind. When he continually showed David kindness, he left his fingerprints on David's life. Look at your fingerprint in the Play-Doh if you're doing this at home, or you can just see mine here. You can tell who shaped this dough by looking at the fingerprint, and you tell that God shaped David's life because David showed God's kind heart. Let's see how he did that. Think about this. Is God's fingerprint on your life? Now, David was the king. There were a lot of things he could do. He led armies into battle. He was fierce. Mephibosheth was the grandson of the previous king Saul. Mephibosheth had been dropped as a baby and his legs did not work. He could not walk normally. David could travel around town in fancy chariots and wave at the people as he went by, but Mephibosheth probably didn't have fancy chariots, so he didn't go many places, especially since he could not walk. Now David lived in a palace and had delicious food. Mephibosheth didn't live in the palace or have fancy food. We have Ben and Luke Michelson here today to show us what it might have been like for David and Mephibosheth. Do you recognize these cute faces? Can you guys say hi?
Hi, I'm Luke.
And-
I'm Benjamin.
And how old are you guys?
11. I'm also 11.
And why are you guys the same age?
We're twins.
Oh, you're twins. Who was born first?
I'm 9 minutes older.
Ooh, very cool. 9 minutes, huh? You're counting. All right. Well, today, Ben and Luke are here to answer some questions for us. So the first question is, what is the difference? What do you think the difference is between being nice and being kind?
I'm not sure.
It's a hard one, huh?
Being nice is thinking of something, getting back, and being kind is just doing it.
Ooh, very good. You got it. So being nice is not being mean sometimes, but being kind is an action. Like love is an action. Kindness is an action. And we're going to learn today that God is kind. Can you guys tell me, during this pandemic quarantine, have you done anything special to show someone kindness, or have you seen someone do something to show kindness that you can share with everyone?
The Burkharts gave us tissues and toilet paper and stuff because we were really sick.
That's great, huh?
Because we didn't have toilet paper before. And somebody gave us something from Ohio, like these brownie things.
Ooh.
My mom knows them, but I don't really know them.
Do you guys know that your mom showed up at my house recently
Oh,
with
yeah.
dinner for us?
Oh, yeah,
Just
she had
because?
pizza.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, that's showing kindness. All right, now, Ben and Luke are here to demonstrate what it might have been like for Mephibosheth We're going to call Luke Mephibosheth, and Ben gets to be King David. Now, King David had everything, and Mephibosheth had nothing. He was the grandson of the king, but the King Saul is long gone, and he has nothing. He doesn't have palaces or fancy food, and they're going to show us what it might have been like for them. All right, guys, what do you have in front of you? What do you have in front of you, Ben?
Like waffles and all the whipped cream and everything.
And do you like waffles?
Yes, that was really fun.
Okay, make them how you would normally eat them. That's it? Woo! All right, now what are you going to put on that? Ooh, that looks good. Okay, now what? What are you going to put on that waffle? Fruit. It's a good one. Make it a little healthy, right? Can't just be all sugar. Oh, what is it? Oh my goodness. All right, are your mouths watering at home? Looks like a good breakfast, huh? And you can go ahead and dig in. And Mephibosheth, what do you have?
Just toast?
Toast. Are you excited about this toast?
No.
Why not?
He got Ghirardelli's chocolate and whipped cream.
And what did you get?
Just toast.
Just toast. All right, guys, dig in. Enjoy your breakfast.
Very cold.
Is it delicious?
No.
No.
Because I'm really too fit.
All right, Ben, how do you feel eating this nice breakfast in front of Mephibosheth, who has toast?
Fun.
You think it's fun? Okay, so you're David, though. You're the king. You have everything. And you see this guy who is the grandson and the son of your best friend. How do you feel now? You're eating this, and he's got dry, cold toast. He doesn't even get jam or butter on it.
It's bad for him.
You feel bad for him. Yeah. And how do you feel watching King David here eat this awesome breakfast when you get toast?
Like he's gonna get fat.
Like he's gonna get fat? And what else? How else do you
Jealous?
feel? You feel jealous? Do you feel like it's not fair? Like you were the grandson of the king and now you get toast. Well, thank you guys for playing. Enjoy your breakfast. I hope you're enjoying your breakfast at home too. Do you guys want to say goodbye to your friends?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jonas.
Long ago, Mephibosheth's dad, Jonathan, had been David's best friend. But Jonathan had died, and David wanted to find out if Jonathan had any kids. Listen to what he did. In 2 Samuel, we read, "And David said, 'Is there still anyone left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?' Now there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba, and they called him to David. And the king said to him, 'Are you Ziba?' And he said, 'I am your servant.' And the king said, 'Is there not still someone of the house of Saul, that I may show the kindness of God to?' Ziba said to the king, 'There is still a son of Jonathan. He is crippled in his feet. God is kind, so we should be kind. What do you think David will do to show kindness to Jonathan's son?' He invites Mephibosheth to his fancy palace, and he shares his fancy food with him. And he did even more. Count all of the kind things David does for Mephibosheth. In 2 Samuel, we continue reading, and David said to him, 'Do not fear, for I will show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan, and I will restore to you all the land of Saul your father, and you shall eat at my table always.' And he paid homage and said, 'What is your servant that you should show regard for a dead dog such as I?' Then the king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, 'All that belonged to Saul and to all his house I have given to your master's grandson.'" Wow! David did not just talk about being nice to Mephibosheth. He showed him kindness by giving him land and food and riches and palaces. He went above and beyond showing kindness. Remember that David showed this kindness because God is kind, and David had the fingerprints of God on him. What does this mean for you and me? We have the fingerprints of God too. God has shown us kindness. Think about all the different ways God has shown you kindness. For me, it is some incredible people God has placed in my life. People who love God and have loved me by showing me kindness. I think of my mom here. She shared with me many times how God saved her and forgave her and changed her forever. She was kind to me and many other people because of the kindness of God in her life and His fingerprints in her life. Let's be a people who reflect God's kindness. What can you do this week to act on this kindness? God is kind, so we should be kind. When we show kindness like David did, we reflect God's heart in our everyday life. When we remember God's kindness to us, He can show us opportunities to be kind. Just remember, you have the fingerprints of our kind God all over you. I don't want to sit back and watch. I want to be a person of action for God, not myself. I want to be kind to others, just as God has been so kind to me. Sometimes this kindness has been through other people. What people in your life have shown you kindness? Have you seen God's fingerprint on their life? Search for that this week. See who you can be kind to, and let's be a people of kindness and love in action. Now, we've discovered that paper clips tend to sink in water, but we can help them float if we avoid breaking the water's surface tension. Watch this. Why do you think the L-shaped paperclip could help the other paperclip float? How is the L-shaped paperclip like us when we are kind to others? When we are kind, we support others and lift them up. We can be kind because God is kind. In our Bible story, David shared God's kindness and supported Mephibosheth. David refused to let Mephibosheth sink. Maybe being kind is really hard for you. Ask God to help you be kind and also to show you areas in your life or people in your life that you can support and show God's kindness to. Before we end with the song, we have some fun activities you can find on our website, along with this fun edible craft, making chocolate-covered pretzels. Well, why would we make chocolate-covered pretzels? Pretzels are heart-shaped, and hearts can remind you of God's kindness to us. Pretzels are salty. Sometimes when people are mean, we might describe them as salty. And chocolate is sweet. How is kindness like chocolate? Well, when people are salty, God's kindness is the sweetness that covers over the saltiness. And just as you spread the chocolate over all your pretzels, you can spread God's kindness to help overcome the salty things in people's lives. A kind action can go a long way when someone has hurt feelings. God is kind, so we should be kind. Maybe you can just show kindness this week by giving away your sack of pretzels. And lastly, we have a fun game for you to play. There are 9 Bible verses and 9 different people you can be kind to. Use the Bible verse, pick a verse from one sheet and a person from the other. For instance, someone who is lonely, and Philippians 2:4, which says, "Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too." Yeah, well, maybe you have a lonely neighbor who lives by herself. She doesn't have very many visitors. Take her a gift or ask if they would like some company. God is kind, and God's kind heart does not want to leave even one person behind. He cares for everyone. So when we care for others, we reflect God's heart. Have you decided to follow Jesus? If not, you can do that right now. Ask Jesus to be Lord over your life. Ask Him to guide you and to help you to be kind to others so that others will see God's kindness and want to follow Him as well. We pray you have a great week, everyone. Thanks for checking in.